Saudi, as we all know, is a country that has some really stringent rules, even though we know that somehow they are relaxing some of their laws, but then there are still some very stringent rules that are in place that if you break them, it will warrant you paying like a fine if you falter in any way when it comes to this particular laid down rules. And that's why it's very important for you to know whether you're coming in as a tourist or you're coming in as an employee, whichever one, as an expatriate, you're coming in here, it's very important for you to know some of these rules and some of these regulations. That's why I decided to put this video together to tell you things that can likely land you in trouble if you come into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The things you should avoid, the things that can get you penalized, and what you should also know. Some facts you should also know about living here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So, if this sounds like what you're interested in watching, then please, by all means, kindly keep watching. First and foremost, the first thing you should have in mind is alcohol. The consumption of alcohol is prohibited, like highly prohibited here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What that means is that you're not allowed to import alcohol, you're not allowed to drink alcohol. And in that category of alcohol, let's talk about drugs. You're not allowed to bring in these things into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's against their rules, and it's one thing that you must have to abide by. You should have in mind that if you're coming into this kingdom, that nothing should make you import it, because if you are caught, you will be highly penalized. Not only being penalized, it might even cost you your life. It might even result to, warrant a life imprisonment. So if there's one thing you must know, is the fact that anything alcohol, anything drugs has a must, must be avoided. Then number two, let's talk about censorship. It's not very personal because it happened to me. These are things that actually get you penalized. So I want to talk about it because I had an experience. It's not all things that you can watch in Saudi Arabia. It's not all internet websites that you can access. It's not even all content that can be accessed, because there's censorship on inappropriate content, and Saudi takes it very personal. So they censor what goes out there, what people see, what their people will see. And that's why it's very important to know that if you try to do otherwise, you will be greatly fined. Now, from my experience, when I first came in here, I didn't know about that. There's this series I was watching before I came in here. That series is not actually on Netflix, it's not on Prime. It's called Sister. It's just shown on BT. That's where I used to watch it. I know that this episode comes out every Friday, so I usually, sometimes if I don't watch it on BT, I download it. So I wanted to stay updated now, because I came in, I needed to continue where I stopped. I needed to catch up on the movie, and then I went into this website to download the episode. Now there's something about accessing some websites that when you open them, you begin to see some very nasty erotic things pop up. And before I knew what was happening, my laptop was hacked, my laptop was blocked. What I saw was a message from Ministry of Interior that I was trying to access some inappropriate content, and they had to block my laptop, so I have to pay a fine of 500 riyals, and I was stuck. I was stuck because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I just wanted to download the movie, and this happened. For 2 weeks, my laptop was blocked. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even shut the laptop down. I couldn't even turn it off. The message just stayed on my screen for 2 weeks until that was sorted out. That's how serious these things are. You don't come in here and just do anything and think you can get away with it in a place like this. It's very important for you to know that you should avoid some things. So this was my experience, and I wouldn't want someone else to experience it. So it's very important to know that there is a limit to the things you can see. You have to be very careful so you don't get yourself penalized for that. Then the next point is taking pictures of public buildings. This is highly prohibited in Saudi Arabia. You don't take pictures of government properties. You don't take pictures of the hospital. You don't take pictures of videos of the mosques. You don't most of their public facilities. You don't take pictures of them. Why? Because just for security reasons. So it's important to know that when you come in here, you have to be careful. You don't go about taking pictures of airports, snapping, making video. It's a very huge amount of money that you pay if you're caught. But then that doesn't mean that if you're taking a picture of yourself and you're somehow those things manage to come into your background or manage to appear in your videos, is a different thing. They know that you're trying to just take pictures of yourself and all that. But then purposely, consciously making a video, trying to take a video of everything, please note, it is not allowed. If you do it here, you will be fined. You will be fined heavily. So try as much as possible to avoid taking pictures of public places. Very, very important. Next point is that there is no display, no public display of affection. I suppose this is a law that has been in place for a very long time here. You don't go about displaying emotions in public. It's not allowed here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And if you're caught doing that, you'll be fined. Again, there's a story told of a guy that tried to propose to his girlfriend in public. You know, the whole drama, the whole shenanigans. The guy is actually foreign, I think so. He was fined for doing that. Just know that public display of affection is not allowed here. Then the next point is taking pictures of a Saudi. I heard that it's a crime, a very big crime, without their permission. If you want to take a picture with a Saudi, or want to take a picture of a Saudi, it has to be, they have to give you their consent, they have to give you their permission. If they don't give you their permission, do not mistakenly, whether by mistake or by omission, whether knowingly or unknowingly, please try as much as possible to not do that. Because if you're caught, if they somehow realize that you're taking a picture of them or you're making a video of them, you can be fined for that. You can be fined for doing that. So if you want to take a picture of a Saudi or you take a picture with a Saudi, it's best you obtain their absolute permission before you do that. So the next point is partition spaces. Now, one thing you have to know is that there are some places you go to Saudi Arabia, you see like hot restaurants, they have like spaces partitioned. There are some places boldly written family, there are some places boldly written singles, there are some places boldly written males. So if you're a male, you have to go into the part where you belong, that is the male section. If you're a family, you go into the family section. If you are a family and you go into a male section, or if you're a male, you go into a family section, that can get you fined. It's best to know where you're supposed to be and enter in there, so you don't have to get fined for what you do not know. You understand? But not every restaurant, anyways, that has that demarcation. Then the next point is, dressing indecently can actually get you fined. Yeah, what I always tell people is that if you live in a big city, like very big urban cities of Saudi Arabia, I think there's some things that they allow fly. There's some things that they do not flag so much. They just like ignore it. But then, if you find yourself in the not so big cities, I always make mention of this in my videos. Make sure to do as they have stipulated, as their law has stipulated, because those people that live in the small towns are still very conservative people. One time, a friend of ours, they called the police on him. Why? Because he stepped out wearing his shorts. Apparently, one of the guys in the supermarket saw him wearing his shorts and called the police. Before he knew what was happening, the police was already there. They fined him for wearing his shorts. But when we go to the big towns, we see people in Riyadh, in Jeddah, wearing shorts outside, and nobody cares. Nobody even takes the book glass at them. What you expect in the city is not what you expect in the town. What you see in the city, do not expect to also think it's going to be applicable in the small towns. It's not applicable in those small towns. So you have to be properly dressed. Like in a small town, you don't go out without wearing an abaya. You can be fined for that. They can report you and you'll be fined for it. But in the big cities, who cares about you wearing an abaya? Nobody cares. In the big cities, you don't even need to bother about wearing an abaya or not. But in the small towns, where the locals are still very conservative, you have to stay by their stipulated laws and abide by it, so you don't get fined for what you don't know or out of your own carelessness. So that's just it for that. So it's best to know what to avoid, what not to avoid, when to avoid it, how to avoid it, and where to avoid it. So that's just basically it for this point. So that's it for that. So let's talk about facts about Saudi Arabia that you do not know about. When I first came in, those are things that surprised me. I was actually out of words when I heard of those things. These are the things I'm going to mention right now. The things I didn't know so much about Saudi Arabia. First one, there's no citizenship. Saudi does not give you citizenship as it stands. Yes, they don't. So if you give birth to your child here, Saudi does not give citizenship. But then there's actually a basis where they give you citizenship. If you actually attain a particular feat or a meritorious achievement, something just extraordinarily, that's just the ground that they give you citizenship. But ordinarily, Saudi does not give citizenship. Talk about weekends starting on Thursday. I didn't know that. I was very surprised when I came here. I said that weekends actually start on Thursdays here, whereas work day starts on Sunday. So unlike ours, that our country, the weekend starts, every other place actually, the weekend starts on Fridays and ends on Sunday, but here it starts on Thursday and ends on Saturday night. So what it means is that work starts on Sunday morning. So it's one of the things that I was surprised about. I didn't even know. I really took me time to finally, cope, So that's just it. Next one is buying properties in Saudi Arabia. What you're allowed to own in Saudi Arabia is a car. I'm not sure foreigners are allowed to buy houses. Well, again, except for under some certain conditions, and it has to be approved. Something that must be approved by the Ministry of Interior. So like I said, there are certain regulations that must be followed, and I think it's actually a very complicated process really. The Ministry of Interior have to grant you permission. So, but the last one we're going to talk about is before you leave the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you have to obtain a visa called a single multiple re-entry visa that allows you to stay outside of the kingdom within the validity of time of that particular visa. That means that before you leave the kingdom, you have to obtain a visa. You can't just get up and leave the kingdom anyhow. If you do that, you can be banned from re-entering the kingdom for like 3 years. I have a video about that on my channel where I talked about the type of visas, the requirements, the payments, and all that. So you can feel free to go back to my channel and just like watch the video and know what it's about. I think this is where I'm going to draw the curtain for this particular video. So thank you so much for watching. If you watched up to this point, thank you for watching. Please, you can consider giving me a thumbs up. Thank you so much, you my new subscribers. Thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And super please kindly give this video a thumbs up, you guys, so that others who are desiring to come into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or who are desiring to come as tourists or coming to live in here, would be informed about what to expect when they come into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next vlog.